Hey, everyone. Hoping everyone is good. Hoping everyone is great. Hoping you are in a good space. Hoping that you are collecting yourself. Hoping that you are feeling good on today. And if not, I want to do this exercise with you. Now, if you are driving, do not. Okay? Do not do this because I am not going to be to blame of a car accident. But if you are to yourself in a space in which you can sit, breathe, and just get calm air and a little bit of silence, do this with me, okay? I want us to clasp our hands together, fingers interlocking. I want you to sit in an upright position, okay? Legs together, knees out, and I want you to take your hand and I want you to sit it in your lap, okay? Upright position, we're sitting. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to inhale. And then I want you to exhale. Still with the eyes closed. I want you to inhale. And then I want you to exhale. And then for this last time, we're going to make it stick, okay? All right, so I want you to really inhale for this one. Hold it, hold it, hold it, and then let go. I don't know if any of you are privy of breathing exercises, but it does calm us. So if you are one who has high anxiety or you just was in a fit of rage 10 minutes ago, if you are a worrier, person who worries a lot, I want you to get in that space and just breathe through the moments. I saw something on, I think it was TikTok about a year ago, and it was a little brother and a big brother, and the little brother was having a tantrum and he was crying, and the big brother was like, let's do a breathing exercise. And his little brother was crying, but then he got him to breathe through the crying. And he said, let's do it again. And I think they did it about 3 times, and his brother calmed down. And so people in the comments were like, oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. This is something that is practiced. And I'm just saying, as an alternative, instead of us as parents, jumping down the throats of our children when we don't understand what's going on, how about we implement those type of exercises so that they know that there is something else that we can do or they can do to calm themselves, okay? So I'm glad that we did that exercise, and I'm glad that it may have comforted you a little bit. I want to share with you something that I shared on my personal Instagram, and it was a carousel post, and I think it is fitting for today. I want to elaborate a little bit, but I want to read this to you. So it says, something is shifting. I don't care if you are a believer or a non-believer, but I've been connected to people with more testimonies of sitting at the bottom to rising up to the top based on their ability to move when God says move. People who've lost everything they've had only for it to be rebuilt for their good. What you thought you had ain't got nothing compared to what He is promising you. We are not measured by what we have, but who we are in our intentional connections to ourselves and others through His will. Why are you out here playing? Y'all better start moving when the Spirit says so. A lot of y'all are running, scared, cowering in perfection and expected disappointment. This is not my story. Answer the call. I love you. I want to go through every single carousel note post, and I want to start at the beginning. Something is shifting. I have talked to 4 people this week who were people that I've known, in my life, and these conversations may have happened 2 or 3 years ago where we were just, talking about maybe goals and ambitions, things that we wanted to do. And these 4 people in our conversations now have talked about how those things have come to fruition and how it is being opened up as to their goals being met, and they're seeing things that they've never seen before. It was amazing testimonies that I was a witness to, because I remember in the beginning having these conversations, and how these conversations range from not having enough resources to not having enough money to not having support, or just not knowing where to begin. And by the grace of God and by their own belief within themselves, and by them just staying the course, these dreams, these goals have flourished tenfold. And I'm talking about now. The second carousel note says, I don't care if you are a believer or a non-believer. Here's my thing, and I'm going to be open and honest with you. I don't care where anybody is in their life, as long as you treat me with moral capabilities, right? If you don't believe in God, that's on you. That ain't got nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with my life. That has nothing to do with, whether I make it to heaven or not. It is by the way in which you treat me and other people around you. That's all I look for. I'm one of those people who look for the heart. Third carousel says, but I've been connected to people with more testimonies of sitting at the bottom to rising up to the top based on their ability to move when God says move. Now, here's the thing. If you don't believe in God, again, that's your prerogative, and that's your relationship that you have with self. But here's what I do know, that when you are a believer, okay, there is a communication pathway that you are just privy to, that you are available to, because you believe. And not only do you believe, but you understand and recognize when God is speaking to you. So let me read that again. I've been connected to people with more testimonies of sitting at the bottom to rising at the top. Going back to what I said before, these people that I have spoken to 2 and 3 years ago, having these dreams and now seeing the fruits of their labor. And when I say at the bottom, there are 2 distinctly that I know of at the top of my head. And I'm talking about single moms who had nothing. They were working jobs, paying their bills, and maybe $20 to $30 left over. Okay, that kind of bottom. So I don't know, you do what you want to with that type of information. But what I'm telling you is, if you want it, and if you listen to when God is trying to instruct you, you will know when to move. The next slide says, people who've lost everything they've had only for it to be rebuilt for their good. What you thought you had has nothing compared to what He is promising you. Listen, I know a lot of people who have a lot of things, right? And when I say things, I mean nice things, nice car, nice house. They wear the latest clothes, nice jewelry. On the outside, they have everything together. And maybe, in the pockets, they do as well. But I've seen many people who've had all of the materialistic things in the world lose it all. And let me tell you something about that way of losing. See, that way of losing everything, it humbles you. Because a lot of people think that when they've gained all that they've gained, it sometimes causes a superior complex where they think they'll never fall because they have some sort of stability. But let me tell you about how God moves everything, right? Just so that He can get your attention. Maybe you got a lot of money in the bank and you've planned ahead and you got a cushion. But see, you don't know about how natural disasters happen, tornadoes, hurricanes, fires even, that could destroy everything that you have and make you spend out. You don't know what's knocking at your door as far as just awful things happening. That's one thing about life. Like, we cannot dictate it. We can't put our fingers on it because we don't know when it will happen. I've been a witness to many people who've had it all and lost it all, had to rebuild. But let me tell you about that rebuilding process. Humbling themselves and understanding that this can be taken away in the blink of an eye. Having to refocus, having to settle, having to understand that certain things are not needed, right? Family is really what's important. Certain things are not needed. When you have to rebuild and go to zero, you realize what you took for granted. But these people were able to rebuild, had a lot, lost all. And because of their humbleness and because of their wanting to get back to a place that for them now was like riches, not monetary, but riches in the form of understanding that now this rebuilding means that I'm placed in a place of understanding that what I have is beautiful. I don't have to have the big house that I used to have. I don't have to have the nice car that I used to have. But by being at the bottom and having to start over and rebuild, it makes people rethink what they need in their lives versus what they want. Next slide goes, and this is important. Y'all don't miss out on this one. All right. We are not measured by what we have. Can we say this one more time? We are not measured by what we have, but who we are and our intentional connections to ourselves and others through His will. When you are called to do something, God will connect you to people. God will connect you to someone across the sea who sees everything in you and who will embody your vision. God will send you someone in your own city that you didn't even know nothing about, who will connect you with connections, who will say, okay, I see what you got here. I see what you got going on. I see you struggling. I'm going to make a way. I'm going to call so-and-so who knows so-and-so who going to get you on. That's the type of connections that God will put in your path in order for you to understand and articulate and grab hold to your calling. You are not measured by what you have, but who you are. Who are you inside? Who are you in your soul, right? You can show up in so many ways outside of the world. You can look like you got it all together, but when the doors are closed and when people don't get to see you behind closed doors, who are you? Who are you? Our intentional connections to ourselves and through others is through His will. Again, you don't have to be a believer. But what I'm telling you is that when you do have a belief, you know that His will is for you to accomplish everything that He had set out for you in the beginning. And when you understand God, it's like you hear the voice clear. I mean, it's no other way to describe it. When you know God, you can just understand when He is showing you something and when He is speaking. And then I'll get to the last slide. Y'all better start moving when the Spirit says so. A lot of y'all are running scared, cowering in perfection and expected disappointment. Let me read this. A lot of y'all are running scared, cowering in perfection. Many of us are waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect time to show up and walk into something. Many of us are waiting for our finances to be, straight. Many of us are waiting for our credit score to be the 800s. But what we're really doing is making excuses as to why we are not walking into what is His will. Because what I said before is the unbelievable happens when you continue to nurture on that thing. God will make provisions. God will make open doorways. God will pull and open up opportunities through people. People will see you. You didn't even know that you were in the spotlight of their eyes. They will connect with you and they will help you. Quit expecting that because things that happened before crumbled. Maybe that business in 2008 didn't survive. Maybe that business in 2010 did halfway decent, but then it fell off. Maybe, some years ago you tried to go back to school and you flunked out, or you just was overwhelmed and you quit. That doesn't have to be the story now. Maybe you wanted to try something new, leave your job and go into something that you thought was interesting, and it ended up not being what it was that you wanted to do. And you're sitting in a spot of disappointment, thinking that the way in which you move to a next job would be another disappointment. Often, the things that we tell ourselves and the things that we believe is how we move ourselves. If I believe that my next venture or the next thing that I want to do will just totally be bad, guess what? My energy is not uplifting. It's not positive. I'm not putting a lot of emphasis on making sure that this next venture is what it is. I'm being mediocre in the way that I'm moving. Your mind has the ability to reset you. As you think, you are. I think it's very important that, number one, we realize we have the power in ourselves. First of all, it starts with us. We have the power in ourselves to make things happen. But are you really walking into the function, into the spaces, into the opportunities unfolding for your journey? Ask yourself that. Or are you making excuses of why it can't happen, why you'll just be scared, why you comparing yourself to other people, making excuses again as to why they have more and you have less, while saying that I want to take a pause. Here's one of the things that I hate with talking with people, and I know that it is a response that many of us have, right? I remember talking to someone, and we were talking again about, things this person wanted to do. And one thing about me, like, you want to go and see Planet 99? I'm going to encourage you to go see Planet 99. I'm going to be realistic with you, but I'm going to encourage the heck out of you. What this person wanted to do was definitely in their reach. But her fear was, well, such and such is doing it, and I don't want it to be an issue. And then also she has family that has pull, and I know they back her up financially, and blah, blah, blah. And she was going down the line, the comparison and the contrast, right? And I'm looking at her and I said, okay, but how about you just be self-made? Let's sit on that. Some of us ain't got family like that who can just give us and provide for us when we need. Sometimes we gotta be the self-made folks, and that's okay. But let me tell you about people who are self-made. People who are self-made after they quote unquote make it, and this is not a negative, this is not a negative, but when they quote unquote make it personally for themselves, because, the way in which we view our making it is different, from the outside to the inside. But when they make it, there is this shift that happens in their brains, in their minds, the way that they think, where they have pushed so long to get it that they realize that all they needed all of the time was faith. And they utilize that faith into other projects to push. And they also encourage other people because they know what the journey entailed. They know how hard it was. And to be self-made and to have your own and to nourish and flourish and build upon something when no one was there for you, that's a different kind of leveling up. So I give applause to anyone who had to do anything on their own, through finances, through their own support, through building by themselves, having to fight naysayers, having to fight bad energy around them, having to fight hiccups in the process, but getting to their now, that is their I made it. Yo, that's deep. I want to encourage you today. I want to encourage you to press on. Everyone on this earth has something that God has really been moving you forward to do. The shift is happening. I am seeing so many people who are really sitting in their spaces and being comfortable, number one, to show up. And a lot of us, I'm going to be honest too, got tired of running away from it. Where now you in that settled season, it's like, whatever. All right, I'm good for it. I ain't going to fight it no more. Because when it comes, I'm going to be ready. I may not have everything, but I know that I will be provided with everything that I need. I say this to myself every single morning, right? Lord, I just want to show up intentional. I just want to make sure that whatever I am giving is in line with what you want me to do. Lord, I ask that you send me connections that will help me on this journey by means of words, encouragement, and uplifting. Lord, I ask that you surround me with good people always. Lord, I also ask that you give me discernment so that I am able to decipher the good and the bad. Lord, I am grateful. Lord, I am happy. Lord, I know that I am blessed and I have enough. That is what I say every single day. Because for me, my intention, number one, is to live and to have a connection to people who want to connect with me. I want to give to you and I want to get something back in return. And which for me is, I just need words of encouragement. I just want to lift you up, so lift me back up. I don't require a lot. But I also when we pray, y'all, we can ask for all of that, but we want to have the spirit of discernment when we are around other people. Because people start off looking, smelling, talking good, but folks are a trip and they will switch up on you in a minute. So my biggest thing is, Lord, build that discernment for me, that when I walk into the room, immediately when I turn to the left, I know exactly what I'm looking at. He or she is not for me, and I move forward. And then last, I am grateful for everything in my life, even the bad, because listen, we give the bad a bad rap, but the bad is what helps us to grow. And if not for the bad, who would we really be? So I'm grateful for that as well. I'm grateful for the opportunities that I had to sit my butt down and really just sit with me. I'm grateful for the experiences that I had to go through, no matter the length of time. It didn't feel good sitting in the spot, but I understood after going through it why it needed to happen. We cannot just think that We're going to be green to so many things in this life. And I have a lesson learned. Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad you are here with me. If you are an avid social media type person, all right, you can follow me on Instagram, Seasoned Dialogue. Also on TikTok, Seasoned Dialogue. If you want to follow my personal page, it's a lot. It's in the description. I got a whole bunch of things going on with it. It's Lisa Marie. It's underscores because people like to take my name, so I had to make it original. Lastly, thank you for every single person who taps in on the podcast and also who taps in on Instagram. The love has been shown. Everything has been increasing. And for me personally, and I know for a lot of people, this shift has shown the increasing season. So keep doing what you do. Be mindful of who you connect with. Be mindful of yourself. Let's be self-aware as well. If you find yourself stressed, go back to the beginning of this podcast and do those breathing exercises. I love you guys. Thank you so much. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.